Yeah. We want to get off that stage so fast, don't we, sometimes? It was beautiful. Yeah. I'll see y'all next week. You think I'm a tough act to follow? That is exactly what I was hoping for. That is exactly the energetic, exactly the feeling tone, exactly the wave and the rhythm that I was hoping through the song to convey to this community, to open the heart, to allow the body to just relax into the rhythm and to know it's okay. That there is a rhythm and a vibrancy and a frequency and a pattern of perfection, of life. And guess what? It knows what to do. If we try to change it, if we try to stop it in its tracks, the mystery doesn't unfold and we don't know where it was going and how the perfection was there to serve us. And so this is a conversation today, my beloveds, of consciously bringing into our awareness how we approach change. And how we recognize that there is this changelessness back of the appearances of all of the form that is changing. And that we as practitioners of truth, we as practitioners, that's what we are, we're practicing the principles of truth in every aspect of our life so that we can behold that this truth indeed sets us free. And that life is for us and is perfectly and benevolently carrying us if we allow it to. And not try to stomp our feet and say, no, I'm not going in that direction. I'm not going to let it flow. And when we do that, we constrict into fear and fearlessness. And so how we approach change is our practice this week. And I am here to share with you, I am here to tell you at the get-go that there is something magnificent, perfect, wonderful, powerful, strong, and changeless within each of us, such that change ain't got nothing on you. Change ain't got nothing on you. That who you are and who you be, you are the changeless. You are the eternal. And in your changelessness, which is guaranteed, which is held in trust by Spirit, by God, meaning it is held in trust for you while you play around thinking you're something other than what you are, that changelessness is held for you in this trust. And when you're ready for it, it's there. And it will meet every perceived need, every perceived aspect of change in the world of appearances because of who you are, what you are, and how you serve as the surrendered being to your divine identity, to the divine idea that we are in the mind of God. Changeless, timeless. And all of this makes you the change maker. We are the change makers and creators. You we are not a victim of that which changes. We are not a victim of that which changes, and what changes is that of form. And we've just confused ourselves because we have this body, and we just confuse ourselves that we are form. But man, there's more to you than that. I don't know what voice that was. I've never used my voice in that way. So I don't know. It must mean something. that we are not formed. This body has this name, but who we are is spirit, unlimited and free. We are the change makers and creators of our experience. And I got to tell you, I am just thrilled about this. So there are different versions of that song. And what I requested was that we don't want that music, that song, everything must change, to be something that takes us out and down, and we become this puddle of crying and this puddle of despair on the floor that, oh my God, she said everything must change. And no, that's how the ego perceives change. That's how the separated self perceives change. That is how the aspect of us that identifies as form sees change. But there is a cry of joy, and that the ego can be released, and that we can turn to the thoughts of love, the thoughts of God, the ideas of God. And your divine self is like, oh, goody, goody. Oh, goody, goody. Got some change coming. I wonder what's happening. Say, oh, goody, goody. Say, oh, goody, 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 goody. Because that's how we are going to practice this week, how we approach that which is changing in our lives. Oh, goody, goody. Something fun's happening. Something is growing. I'm learning something new. Something unexpected is happening. And my plans that I think keep me safe, they're not going to work here. I'm going to have to let go of my plans. Oh. I'm going to have to let go of my plans. Oh, no. Yes. We're going to let go of our plans so that the divine ideas and that the life that is seeking to have its way with us can percolate through those plans and create a spaciousness and an open-heartedness and an open-mindedness so something else can happen, so that the mystery can unfold. Man, I don't know. Anybody? Is there anyone here who goes to the end of the book to see how the mystery ends? Yeah, me too. Me too. Or when your mother says, oh, you can wrap all the Christmas gifts if you don't look at what they are. And I'm like, I'll do that, Mommy. And I look at every single one and act surprised when I get them. We let go of our need to know. We let go of our judgment. We let go of our plans. And we go, oh, goody, 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 goody. Something is happening here. This is what we are here to practice. We are practitioners this week, and we're going to practice this. Now, I want to speak to the aspect of us that something's going on in our lives. Something is going on in our lives. Something's changing. And you're afraid. And you feel fearful. And I just want to speak to that because we all experience that, don't we? We all feel that. And I want to share these words with you from A Course in Miracles, which is the voice of Jesus coming forth to kind of set some of the records straight. and this is what is said. Many of us stand guard over our ideas because we want to protect our thought systems as they are. And learning means change. So we've been talking about this idea that we're changing, we're shifting. We come to unity, we come to spiritual community, and when we come to spiritual community, we are learning a new language, a new thought system. And it's a new thought system that is based on the idea that God is not out there doing something to us, that God is within us, and that we are in unity with the Creator. And that as such, we are creative beings, and that what extends through us is experience, is expression, is creativity, is form. And sometimes form represents something. But it's fleeting, and we've been talking about it. This is the thought system that we're talking about. But what we must do is that we're letting go of a thought system based in fear, based in separation. And we call that thought system, we say that that's the egoic thought system, the mind of separation. So this thought system actually requires that you stay, what? The same. It requires that you don't change. And so there's an aspect of us that becomes fearful because you know what? If we succumb, if we allow, if we choose ourselves to change our thought system, a thought system of love, what happens to this thought system? You know, it goes away. It dissipates, it disappears, it is no longer needed. And there's an aspect of ourselves that is so afraid of that. And so when that fearfulness comes up, just notate it, just look at it, just say, oh yeah, something must be going on here. And I'm willing to look at it. I'm willing to feel the fear. I'm not saying, that you're going to deny how you're feeling. No. We're going to actually begin to become more in touch with our feelings because they're going to guide us. Oh, I'm uncomfortable. I must be afraid here. What am I afraid of? I'm afraid to change. I'm afraid to let go because I think I know what's going to happen here. But you know what? You really do know what's going to happen here. And I'm sorry, it just doesn't seem like a very good deal to me. You're birthed into form. You have a life. You do certain things to get certain outcomes, and you die. Am I saying something that's like, isn't that kind of the deal of this thought system? Like, why are we so attached to that? That doesn't sound so great. But don't we think this keeps us safe? Safe from what? Oh, wow. Okay, get thee behind me. I'm going to go hang out over here in this thought system. And so that's what we're doing. And change is always fearful to the separated ones, the ones that believe that they're separate from God because they cannot conceive of it as a change towards healing the separation. If you think about how the ego was created, how the mind of separation was created, it decided, what would it be like to have an existence, a perceived existence outside of the mind of God? And it was just playing because it can, but then it fell asleep and believed this to be its reality. It's very sad. In a way, our fear of change, our fear of thinking if there's more change, it will never lead to oneness. So we have to keep things the same. It's almost like we have PTSD. We made that first decision to change something, and boy, was it a doozy. And now we're afraid. And so when change happens, we have that initial experience of that change of separation from God. And I'm just going to ask you to take a breath with me. And to consider that the change can actually lead us home. So we always perceive this change towards further separation because the separation was our first experience of change. And so we can be gentle with ourselves. Oh, beloved. Oh, beloved. You cannot fail. Remember last week, it's impossible for us to fail. There's nowhere to go. This is a journey without distance to a destination that has not changed. And this isn't real. It's just make-believe. And so we're awakening to something else happening. So we've dedicated ourselves to a new thought system. And when we do that, everything actually must change. It's a different cornerstone. It's a new way of being. It's a new old way of being. It's a new, perhaps in your recent history, but it's aboriginal in your nature to return to love. It just is. So why it is good is that we cannot control the world of form from the consciousness that made it. We cannot control what's going on out there from that consciousness that made it. And don't you just try to control your world. I know I do. So I'll cop to it. I'll cop to it. I have made the decision. I have made a decision that has been transformational this week. I have made a decision to, at a deeper level, live these truths that we're speaking of right now. You see, I did something. See, what we do in our human experience, it's so funny. Like, I'm going on vacation. A week from today, after Sunday service, I'm going to get on a plane and I'm leaving the country. I plan to come back, but, who knows? And so, but we plan vacations, which isn't that a change? And we look forward to them when we plan them. Some of us, when we start to approach them, get nervous. Don't you try to get everything on your to-do list? The to-do list you've always had, but you try to do it before you go away on vacation. Like it's not going to be there when you get back, right? Or the world will fall apart if you don't do the to-do list before you go on your planned change, which is called a vacation, right? And you can approach these things that are supposed to give you a little bit of rest and relaxation with a lot of anxiety because it contains within it a lot of unknown. And what do we do when we're in unknown? We try to control. We try to control and we plan every eventuality that could happen. And so if you study The Power of Now at all, and Eckhart Tolle, one of the questions is, well, what about planning? I have to go on a vacation. And he's just you plan from the present. And you don't plan from the past, regret, or worry about the future. You plan aligned in that divine identity in the present. And why do you do it? What's the motivation? Because you love yourself. Because you're being loving. Because it's loving for me to have somewhere to stay wherever I'm going. It's lovely to have a place to lay my head. You know, it's lovely to know that there's a loose plan, and that if something shifts or changes, that I'm still in the flow of the divine, right? So this is a conscious change that's coming upon me. I chose it, right? But there are other change situations that feel like you didn't choose them. A diagnosis, somebody leaving your realm, either geographically or laying the body down and moving on to their next experience. And so it's hard to say, oh, goody, goody, when those kinds of changes come into our lives. But I am going to encourage you to take a breath for those changes and create a spaciousness and to begin to allow something to come through, to allow life, capital L life, to percolate through your best laid plans and ideas, to breathe through that spaciousness, to see the gift of the mystery that's unfolding. And I got to tell you, it's a lovely way to let life use you and float upon like a leaf, like to float upon the wind, and to see where it leads. So we've been talking about the idea. Last week I said, isn't it benevolent? Isn't it lovely? Isn't it gentle that we learn and unlearn simultaneously? You know, we've been told horrible things like, the universe abhors a vacuum. And so we're always trying to fill a vacuum. But really what's happening is we're separating the wheat from the chaff. We're separating that which is valuable and loving and eternal and changeless from that which is time-bound, that which is not eternal, that which is changing. And we keep just choosing this. And we're learning and unlearning at the very same time. Thus, the very act, this is from A Course of Love, the very act of undoing old patterns is an act of creation. It's an act of creation. As the old is undone, a vacuum is not created. The new is created. The new is created. And so, whether you actually go goody-goody this week, when the changes of your life happen, back of that oh goody-goody, here's what's happening. Here's what our work play is. We're releasing our judgment of the way we think things need to be for us to be safe. We're releasing our judgment of life. We're releasing our criticism of how life is showing up. This is how we get attuned with the changelessness back of all things. We stop judging it, that it should be a different way. We've been singing the Our Father this month. Forgive us our debts. Forgive those moments. Go back before we go into judgment about life, about a brother, about a sister. And take that breath. And know that as we release the judgment, it releases the veil before our eyes so that we can see reality as it is, as it's showing up and not as we think it ought to be. And so we're doing goody-goody and we're letting go of our judgment of the way things are. And as we do that, man, you're rising. We're rising. We're rising in consciousness. We're rising out of a victim-level consciousness. We're rising out of that into a victor-level consciousness where we can know that we have volition, that we have choice. And then the next thing we do is we're going to change our relationship with control. We're going to release control, release trying to control every aspect of life. And as we do that, we rise again. And we become fluid like that song that just took us. That the rain comes from the clouds, but the sun does indeed rise. And that we don't interrupt the pattern of perfection when we notice the rain and we judge it to be bad, or we judge it should be something else. And we don't try to control that the sunrise, we allow it. And in our allowing, there's joyfulness and grace. There's something happening in life that these body eyes cannot see and cannot perceive. And what we're being asked to do is to soften. How do we soften? We soften the eyes by releasing the shackles of judgment and control, so that we may see reality as it is, so we may see face to face the beauty, the grandeur, the perfection of the world God actually created, not the one we made. This is why everything must change, so that we may come face to face with the perfection of God's creation. And then to look into the mirror and know it's you. Not as form, but as the formless back of the form, as the divine idea back of your ideas, and to allow that to come forth. So the sane solution is not to try to change reality, God's reality, because that would be fearful, and that's what we've done. But to see it as it is. This is why we must change. And this is why it is good. When you are afraid in the midst of change, be still and know that God is real, and you are God's beloved child, in whom God is well pleased. Say, I am. Say, I am. Say, I am. I am God's beloved child, in whom God is well pleased. That's me. Say, that's me. Look at your neighbor. Say, that's me. And that's you. Say, that's you. And look in their eyes just for a moment. And without words, see God's beloved child. Take a breath. In our affirmation, I do not resist change. Say, I do not resist change. For I know that only God The good governs me, my circumstances, and my environment. From the top, I do not resist change, for I know that God, the good, governs me, my circumstances, and my environment. One more time, because 3 is a charm. I do not resist change, for I know that only God, the good, governs me, my circumstances, and my environment. And this is the truth that sets us free, that the changeless is within each of us. That say, change ain't got nothing on me. Change ain't got nothing on me, because I am the change maker. Because I am the change maker. And so it is. And this is how we be the practitioners of our life this week. I love you. God bless. Amen. And we bring our music team up. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's by the